A very good afternoon to each and every one of you, wherever you guys are joining us from. Whether it's at home here in Guyana, you're in the diaspora, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube. Welcome in the ring, folks. Let's fight. We got quite a bit to talk about this afternoon. And you know, guys, as we come on board, we're always advised to share the live stream wherever you guys are joining us from today. As you know, it's just one of those days where, as we say here in our program, it's confusion powder. Confusion powder. And we're trying to get as much information on that fire, that Brickdam police station Inferno. As you know, that is what is bringing us on air this afternoon for this very, very special broadcast of In the Ring. And apologies, we did say we were going to come on for 3 o'clock, but we wanted to make sure that we have enough information and we have a quality production at our end to ensure that we are in the ring live and direct. Folks, I must let you know that I have with me coming up this afternoon is the leader of the opposition, Mr. Joseph Harmon, and he's going to be giving some initial thoughts based on the information he has at hand on the Brickdam police station Inferno there. So bear with us, folks. Share the live stream in the meantime, wherever you guys are joining us from. As soon as we hit that magic number, folks, we are going to be ready to go. We are ready to go at our end. We have the information at hand. And Mr. Joseph Harmon is standing by, wherever you folks are joining us from. As you know, we only have this blaze in Brickdam on our fight card for this afternoon. That's all we're going to be talking about. This is a special. You guys know we take a rest over the weekend unless we have something big to come back to you with. And we believe that this blaze, this inferno at the Brickdam police station, or what once was the Brickdam police station, should pique your interest. And we have some information at hand for you, ladies and gentlemen. But as we start, I want to give you a sense of what happened today there on the ground at the Brickdam police station. I want to give you a sense of what has transpired there. As you know, and as lots of media houses have been reporting, the Brickdam police station has been utterly destroyed by fire. The Brickdam police station, ladies and gentlemen, has been utterly destroyed by fire. Again, as you come on board, we encourage you to share the live stream wherever you guys are joining us from. And this is from some footage that we've picked up, compliments of NCN. And I think it's also some footage we saw on the Christopher Jones Facebook page. And we want you to take a look at that. And we're going to have Mr. Joseph Harmon with us as we come back on the other side of it.
Pumpy, hola, no, not Pumpy. Where we rest, sir? Go there, sir.
All right. Yeah, because
If you've now joined us, the Brickdam police station is on fire. A number of fire tenders have responded to the scene. There you have the fire chief. He's on the scene, Mr. Idu. So if
There you have it, folks. That is some of the footage that has been in circulation, and no doubt you guys would have seen some of that by now. As promised, I have with me this afternoon the leader of the opposition, the one and only Mr. Joseph Harmon, for his initial reaction on what transpired there today on Brickdam. Lots of heads are scratching. Lots of questions are being asked this afternoon. Mr. Harmon, a very good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome.
Good afternoon to you, Sherrod, and good afternoon to your listeners and viewers around the world. Sherrod, I just issued a statement on this matter, which I will read. In fact, I don't think it has been fully circulated as yet, but I'll read that statement, and after that, I will give you some additional thoughts which I have on this terrible fire which took place today.
Thank you, sir.
And the statement basically says this: I'm saddened by this terrible fire which broke out at the Brickdam police station, leaving devastation and the destruction of property and vital records in its wake. There are not enough words to express the shock when I think of the implications for the nation's public security. I would also like to make important note of the courage and dedication of the firefighters and other members of the disciplined forces who, despite the intense flames and danger to themselves, demonstrated professionalism in the most difficult circumstances. What happened this afternoon and this morning was an unimaginable tragedy our country has seen in many years. It should never have happened. And we must immediately take action to find out why it did. In doing so, one second, please. In doing so, we must basically go to the top to find out really what has taken place. So we make no mistake that this is a failure of leadership, and the nation must be somewhat reassured by the immediate resignation of the Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Robeson-Ben. His and the government's failure have been on display since the 2nd of August 2020. Today marks another shameful milestone since their installation. Yeah, I'm reading off of the computer here, Sherrod. So you
understandable, sir.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm saying that it's been a shameful milestone which has taken place since they have been installed. This compounded by the fact that the support on the ground in the initial stages was not good enough. It is my belief that the discipline services did a fairly good job, but in this regard, we are making certain demands. Firstly, in the short term, a full inventory and disclosure of what was destroyed by this fire. Secondly, an announcement by the government on the plans to reassure the citizenry that the public security situation is under control. Thirdly, immediate information from the leadership of the disciplined forces to give comfort to the citizens of Guyana. In the long term, we expect the initiation of an immediate and impartial investigation, a commission of inquiry into the causes of this fire. Secondly, the establishment of mechanisms to ensure that we can examine all aspects related to the fire safety and to review the existing systems, including building codes. And further, there must be an immediate assessment of all the response mechanisms, as well as a review of the available equipment and the human resources capacity. This investigation mechanism must provide a comprehensive report, and the findings must be made public as soon as that is completed. Thirdly, we will have to review the Fire Service Act and provide recommendations for modification at the parliamentary level. Since Guyana is moving towards an environment of transformation, new, comprehensive, and creative legislative action must be introduced in relation to fire prevention and the safety of all Guyanese citizens. That's a statement.
Leader of the Opposition, thank you very much for that statement.
But let me add these things.
Right ahead,
First
sir.
of all, that Georgetown is basically a city of buildings that are made of wood. And so only the newer buildings that are coming up are concrete and other structures. And so all of your building codes, all of your firefighting mechanisms must be geared towards a city that is primarily wood. All of the architecture and the beauty for which Georgetown is known comes from these large wooden buildings. So the Brickdam police station is one such building, and that the Guyana Police Force must have known that fire was a possibility here. Only in May of this year, in the 11th of May, there was some prisoners set fire in the lockups there to protest the conditions under which they had to live. And so that a fire drill ought to have been put in place. And this fire drill must include all of your fire tenders. It must include the buckets, the sand, the water in those buckets, the firefighting equipment in the building itself. So there must be internally arrangements that basically is able to deal with every individual building in that compound. And then beyond that, the larger issues as it relates to fighting fire in Georgetown. Now, I saw this morning, they were struggling to get water.
Yes.
They had to take the hose to canal and all of that. When we were in office, we were on a program of reactivating all of those fire hydrants in the city. The Guyana Water Inc. under Dr. Van Charles and the Mayor City Council, that they were actually doing that on a consistent basis, hoping that we'll have all of Georgetown covered by those those equipment.
Yeah.
But this morning, I see again, we're struggling for water. We're struggling for water, and this to me is because we have also an incompetent WI team that don't know the hell what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. So we have, first of all, an issue of capacity. Secondly, an issue of resources. That is the water and the fire hydrants and all of these things which must be in place. And then, of course, the issue of negligence. I believe that the government has been extremely negligent in this regard, in ensuring that those facilities are put in place. But even beyond negligence, we have to look now, Sherrod, at the number of records.
Yes.
That
evidence and all of that. Yes.
Evidence. So many cases. The records are there. And I'm seeing Robeson Ben saying on a program just now that they have backup. Backup what? What backup? We were putting in place a system in which you can have these records digitized and have them stored elsewhere. And as soon as they came into office, they dismiss all of the people. So there is no real backup system. And I do not put it beyond an enterprising individual or the same administration to have actually set a whole place on fire just to get rid of one file. They are known for that, Sherrod. In years gone by, what used to be the Ministry of Local Government, that place was placed on fire, was set on fire.
Ministry of Housing was once on Homestretch Avenue.
Yeah. Well, I'll go to that too. So this was the building in Kingston. There was to be an audit of the office, and before that audit was taken, the entire place gone up in flames. The Ministry of Health under Ramsamy, and then they're blaming somebody else for it. When all the evidence started to come out about the acquiring of laptop computers that doing triangulation and all of that, suddenly the building went up in flames, and then they were looking all over the country for some driver. Of course, you know the Ministry of Housing in years gone by on Homestretch Avenue. And so the PPP has a penchant for creating these fires.
They're fire starters.
Yes, they're fire starters. That's actually, I think there was a program like that, a movie like that called Fire Starters. So they do these things and then come like a pity poor boy and say, oh, we have to do this, we have to do that, when they knew what had to be done. And in very many cases, they are complicit in some of the things that are taking place in these areas. So this fire, yes.
Leader of the opposition, I want to kind of unpack on some of what you've said there. We've had two big budgets out of this administration. They call them the biggest budgets ever. Now, if you look to see where the the Brickdam police station is in relation to the Ministry of Public Security, Ministry of Home Affairs, and then where the Ghana Police, the fire service, the headquarters is located, it's all within a 2 minutes radius. And they think that this entire building could have been engulfed. You talked about it a little bit, but I want to dig in some more. As an organization, they should have an internal fire plan. As an organization, at the basic level, the Brickdam police station. And then as an entity of this nature and quality, they should have an even greater sense of fire prevention, even for an entity as close as the Ministry of Home Affairs just across the road. And to think an entire compound of several buildings could have gone up in flames. And it seems as though this government, since August 2nd, 2020, has been putting out fires or trying to put out fires on every front. Just last week, we saw at the Vigilance Police Station 2 cars and a house, a building in the police station compound. Leader of the opposition went up in flames. We can't get to the bottom of that yet. As a matter of fact, they said they suspected arson. This is the headquarters, I think, of Region 4 Command, Brickdam Police Station. And to think every building could go up in flames and the fire service is less than a 2 minutes drive away. It's mind-boggling under the PPPC administration, Leader of the opposition.
Yes, Sherrod, I agree with you. Now, let me give you one practical example. There's a young man who I spoke to not too long ago, who the police stopped for riding his motorcycle without helmet. More than a week ago. His motorcycle was collected by the police and it's in there for riding with an offense which is like, I think $20,000 or something like that. He was to pick up his motorcycle on Monday and now it is all, it's burnt up. And so what we have is a very loose system of policing. And this was what was the basis of a report by Colonel Coombe that was actually done by a security expert in the United Kingdom that did something called a security sector reform report. This Brickdam police station was part of Colonel Coombe's report. The fact that you have now divisions that are basically broken up in different ways. And this here is, I believe, the division 4A. So that you have Division 4, which is Region 4, and this is the headquarters of 4A. But in that report, it spoke to a number of things that has to be done. It also spoke about the hazards of fire and the conditions under which policemen had to live in these police stations. This has been a subject of tons and tons of reports, Sherrod. The conditions in the Brickdam police station, the conditions in the Brickdam lockup. And so I have no good words for this administration, for this regime. I have no good words for the minister. As far as I'm concerned, he has been a failure and he continues to be a failure. The government has continued to fail the people, and we must start with him going and eventually the rest of them, including Irfan Ali. They are basically have become a blight on the people of Guyana. Every single day is a new tragedy. Every single day. Yesterday was one thing. Yesterday we're dealing with COVID-19, and every single day all of these deaths. And now to wake up today to find that in the center of your city,
yes,
a whole compound could burn down before some action is taken. The fire had to be started in one place. It couldn't have been something that has been done is taking place simultaneously in several buildings at the same time. So how is it that you could not contain a blaze which started in one place and allow it to raise the entire compound? This is negligence at its highest level. I don't understand if this administration believes that it can struggle along like that with the nation's security at risk every single day, and they believe that the Guyanese citizens will sit and take it. Now, I've seen a statement put out by, I think it might be one of the security companies. I'm not sure if the sheriff or one of them, that basically is seeking to give the assurance that they are ready to come in and standing where the police cannot provide that service.
Wow. Interesting.
We did not provide resources in the National Assembly, in the Parliament, for any private security company to provide our national security. That rests with the Guyana Police Force. And if they cannot do a job, then the minister must do the honorable thing and leave and get people who can do it. This whole administration is corruption.
Leader of the opposition, that would be interesting on two fronts, because the nation will recall when the opposition moved that motion of no confidence quite recently against the very same Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben. It was that same security firm, if it is Sheriff Security Firm, who put out a big ad on their page expressing full confidence. Quite strange. We've never seen anything like that in our nation's history, where a private firm is backing a minister in that manner. So that would be quite interesting to see that. But more so, Mr. Harmon, you were the person who stood in the National Assembly and questioned, interrogated Gail Teixeira on this regional security team. So if all of that and all of the millions of taxpayers' dollars that not only has been poured into public security, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and this regional security team, if all of that has failed and a private entity has to come and stand in the gap, we're in a terrible place.
Well, Cheryl, you'd also recall in the 23 years when the PPP were in office before 2015, that you remember private individuals?
Oh, yes.
Private individuals were actually coming out to provide security and making statements that they can handle the security situation in this country.
Yes.
So we've always had a problem at the Ministry of Home Affairs. And I thought that when we changed to the public security, that when they came back, they would have been happy to get rid of that name. Because the name has had some terrible history to it.
Thanks to the PPP, people like Clement Rohi and Ronald Gadraj and the ilks of those men.
Gadraj, Gail Teixeira, All of them, there were scandals under that Home Affairs Ministry. And now they've gone right back in a short space of time to scandals and more scandals. And I don't know what nonsense Robson is saying on the television, but they have some backup system. Everybody knows that when you go to the court and the prosecutor doesn't turn up with the file, court adjourned to the next date. Those files go back there to Brickdam. That's where they are. And so when you have a fire, in fact, somebody don't want to go to court, or somebody just get charged and they don't want to be sentenced, as the case may be, they just burn the place. They burn the place down. But the tragedy about this, Sharon, is that they are innocent persons who are being held in custody and who should be released once they are given their day in court, that they will have to spend a longer time in there while they try to reconstruct files. So this is basically another tragedy on the Guyanese people, that the entire justice system and the criminal justice system more particularly would be severely hampered in its performance because of this fire.
Yeah.
And so this is why I'm saying that it is a tragedy for public security.
Yes.
It's a tragedy for that, because you can imagine Monday morning, the magistrates court fill up with people who are in prison now expecting that their cases will be called. Some of them expect to be acquitted. Then you hear case adjourned until some indefinite date because they don't have the files. Well, I want to see what Robson Bend are going to do. How are they going to produce these files?
Leader of the opposition, if Robson Bend cannot move a fire tender from right there at Stabrook Market to the Brickdam police station, they ain't gonna back up files. Don't let us fool ourselves with that. But what is interesting, sir, what is interesting, the nation remembers, as we invite the folks to share the live stream who are joining us, the nation remembers when there was that boat that was spotted with those dead bodies, no engine and just adrift.
Yes.
There were several press conferences that were held.
Yes.
Now you have the whole of Brickdam police compound. One report said has been gutted by fire, the entire compound. It will be interesting to see whether the people who are in charge of public relations for this government, we know they failed on many fronts, would sit down with Robson Bend there with a press conference to face the reporters and answer the questions. Yes. Because a lot of questions have gone unanswered. You have a government that is teetering on the edge. And also you have a public security sector and a police force also with severe challenges. So this has come to compound all of that. You spoke so articulately to the issue of the implications for the justice system. Now we saw several fire tenders as far as Scroll Street, as you pointed out, sir, with water from that canal. A year plus in government, biggest budget ever, pouring money, billions of dollars, flinging money at problems, and we are getting nowhere. You know, what is the Guyanese people to understand of all of this afternoon?
Sharad,
and sir, as you answer that, as we were out there on the ground, as you've articulated so well, listening to the comments of members of the public there, all you're hearing is these people are crosses.
Yes.
Crosses, blight.
Blight. It's a blight. Actually, you know, these fire tenders are can only take so much water. They can only keep so much water in them. Because of course, even if you have a fire tender with, let us say, a 10,000 or 5,000 gallon capacity, they cannot keep 10,000 gallons of water in because of the pressure and the weight on the tires and so on of these fire tenders. So you don't ever expect when a fire tender turns up to a fire that it will have the full capacity. They will have to be replaced or replenished at some point. And this is why the plan about Georgetown and those hydrants became so very important. But you see, this PPP government, they don't want to see fire tenders that fighting fire, you know. They want water cannons to shoot at people. And that is what they spend the money on the Rohi, to buy water cannons that will actually disperse crowds. And that has always been their mentality. They don't have a good mentality about public order and public security and public discipline. They have a very poor track record where that is concerned. And so the people have a right to say what they said there at that fire. That every single day, I'm not surprised if tomorrow that here another fire like this breaks out somewhere, because this is what is the track record of the PPP. And this Robson Ben guy, he is not, the fact that he's not answering questions, he's hiding from the media, does not change anything. It just adds to the concern which the Guyanese people have about the performance of that ministry. And such a close proximity. You know, I believe that they use the proximity of the Ministry of Home Affairs and so on to interfere with police investigations. So they can walk across on the ministry and go straight over to the police station and tell the police who must they question, who they mustn't question, who they must lock up. You would recall during these investigations on these bogus charges which they brought about the 2020 elections and the problems with GCOM, that you had Robson Ben himself going into the CID, telling the police officers who they must question, what question they must ask. We had the other pompous one, the Minister of Youth, Culture and Sports, Ramson, and all of these fellows who believe they are so powerful now that don't recognize that there's a separation between policy and actual practice of policing. That at the level of policy, that's where the government and the minister stand. But as far as the operational use of the force is concerned, they ought not to interfere. Yeah. And this is what they've been doing. So all of these, the senior ranks in the police force, they are almost afraid to act professionally. So every single thing that occurs in these police stations now, somebody at the government level got to intervene. The police lock up somebody, by the time that phone call is made by somebody, say, hold on, talk to this policeman. They say, go along your way. Because some government official intervenes. So what we are seeing is a convergence of government's incompetence at the level of government and a fearfulness at the level of the police to be able to implement those security sector reform recommendations which were made by the team that was sent here by the British government and did an excellent job. All of the police stations, Sharon, they went to. All of the police stations, they questioned people, they asked them what they thought about policing and what did the policemen think about the service and so on. And so you have a report with all those recommendations. But these people here in government...
They don't like read, sir. And then they can't read in some instances.
Huh?
They don't like read, and in some instances they can't read, so...
But my friend, the recommendations are in bold. See if you can't read. You want to read the whole report, just go to the recommendations paragraphs. And you can actually do those things because it is backed up by a very serious and carefully and a methodical check of all of the facts that they're found at these police stations. So that this Division 4A fire, I laid squarely at the feet of the government. I laid squarely at the feet of Robson Ben, the Minister of Home Affairs. I say again that Robson Ben should go. And ultimately, those who give him directions also should go. I understand that the other pompous one, the Minister of Legal Affairs, the Attorney General, he was there giving strategic directions at the fire. He's another firefighter, a fire starter. I don't know what strategic direction he could give.
Confusion powder.
Yes, confusion. I think a tree was burning and everybody confused on what to do. I said, just cut the tree down rather than let the thing spread. But every all of them direction. Anil Nandala giving directions, Ejil giving direction, this one giving directions. And you have now a Guyana Fire Service that had to call on the former fire chief to come out. The former fire chief had to come out.
Very interesting.
And give assistance.
Very interesting,
Yes.
sir.
The former fire chief.
Leave the
Mr.
opposition.
General, had to
Leader of
come
the
out.
opposition. One has to
Yeah.
wonder what are our Western diplomats thinking this afternoon. There are some offices for the UN right opposite the Brickdam police station. I think the one that deals with agriculture and food and that kind of stuff. Right opposite and close by. And if the Brickdam police station is not safe, how are they viewing us? You know, Western capitals. How are they viewing us this afternoon? I mean, this isn't Timbuktu. This is in the heart of the city, and our whole compound could go up in flames. And if an alien bar Jagdio want to tell us that they're in command.
Yes. Well, Sherrod, you know, the Western capitals, when you speak about the Western capitals, Washington has already made a declaration on Guyana that the streets of Guyana is a dangerous place. That citizens of the United States are warned about coming to Guyana because of the the crime situation in this country. And that they are aware, they know that the crime statistics and so on are being suppressed to make it look as if things are okay. But they know that it is not so. So these same countries have issued advisories telling their citizens that when you come to Guyana, that the streets of Guyana are not safe because crime is very high. And they have clear instructions as to where you should go, where you shouldn't go, and so on. So that these, what you call these Western capitals, apart from the Americans, the British invested heavily in this security sector reform program. This was a British initiative, and they spent a lot of money on it. They got quality individuals to come down here and do a thorough report just to see this installed regime show the report one side. But this is what they do. The British had offered us again this same kind of assistance in the time when Roger Luncheon and Jagdio, they were in office. And because the program was not going to go the way they wanted it, they just decided to just shut it down. 20 million pounds, I believe, was the extent of that investment that was going to look at security at that time. So we have a regime here that has no good record where public security is concerned.
Yeah.
They have no good record about equipping these entities in a proper way. What they do, they equip the underworld people. They equip their friends. They offer big contracts to these companies. You see that they're coming out in support. They give them the big contracts. So rather than fully investing in the police, fully investing in the Guyana Fire Service, they are contracting out a lot of these services to these same private companies that you see come out and praising the minister and saying, okay, if the police can't do it, we will help. We have the capacity. We are ready to do so. So this is really, they see the security of this country as a sort of a hand wash and make hand come clean situation. So the people who help them to get into government, they have to make sure that they are looked after first. And that the people of Guyana, the forces that are meant to offer us security, to offer us protection, those forces are really starved of the resources to get it done. And even when the resources are given to them, it is given to a handful of cronies that basically just support the administration. There's no reason why Brickdam should be like this, Sherrod. We've spent enough money. We've allocated enough money to fix it. And all they're doing is putting up lights on the trees around so that people, if you have a candlelight service, you can't see the effects of the candlelight anymore. So they light up the whole place. That's the kind of money they're spending, rather than spending the money inside the compound where it is needed most.
Understood. Leader of the opposition, I want to thank you for spending this time with us. I know you have a very busy schedule, and this is high on your agenda, finding out exactly what went down here in Brickdam that has caused the Brickdam police station to have gone up into that Inferno earlier today. We got some additional information for our viewers that we want to share with them. Mr. Harmon, thanks very much for spending this time in the ring, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Sherrod. And I want to also say that I'm very happy that the buildings that are in close proximity to the Brickdam police station were not severely affected as well. There are several offices around there, and I was just sparing a thought for my colleagues who has offices there, and that the sort of precautionary measures which they had to take. I think all of us as Guyanese, all of us as citizens who live in Georgetown, must understand that our security starts from in our own homes. We have to take those steps. We have to ensure that the fire points which are meant to be there, and that they are there, that the bucket with water, the bucket with sun, the fire extinguisher, internally. So we can start with that. We can start with ensuring that you have fire drills in the event that a fire breaks out at some particular point, where you can actually assemble and what actions have to be taken. These are all well-known and well-written procedures. And it seems as if all of that went through the window when a fire starting in one place in a whole big compound could engulf the entire compound before action can be taken. So those will be my final words, Sherrod. And as I said, we are looking forward to a thorough, impartial investigation. And I'm looking forward to see the report of the Guyana Fire Service as to the cause of this fire, where it started. And I wouldn't be surprised if it started at a particular place in that compound.
Very well, sir. Very well. Thanks for coming in the ring and sharing your thoughts with us and that official statement coming out from your office, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sherrod, and have a good Saturday afternoon.
Fantastic. Folks, that's the leader of the opposition. We have some more information to share with you guys. Don't go anywhere as yet. Share the live stream, those folks who are joining us. We told y'all, sad to say, every day under this PPP administration is confusion powder. Every day we can show you some major event, negative, that sets something that doesn't bode well for our country. It's like a dark cloud over this nation. Since these guys have come in, sad to say, but that is the reality. And there is no better way to put it so that people can feel nice. So we want to share with you guys the information we have at hand. What we know as of this hour, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with us. Let us ensure that we have our the information at our end queued up. Incredible information, folks. And take the opportunity as we hold for a second or two to share the live stream wherever you guys are joining us from this afternoon, that you share the live stream. We want this information to go far and wide, folks. Again, for those persons who are now joining us, we're looking at the Brickdam police station Inferno. That fire that has engulfed the entire Brickdam police station earlier in the day. It started around 11 o'clock. And we're going to be taking you guys through the timeline of events. So guys, stay with us as we ensure that we have our notes queued up at our end. Stay with us, folks. And let me make sure that we are good to go with that in just a sec or two. Yep, I think we are good to go. And again, we said that every day under this administration, guys, every day, it's pocketry, it's confusion powder. And we know that the PPP supporters don't like when we say that, but it's the facts. It's the facts. So many questions left unanswered. A whole compound. You got to wonder as a citizen, if you're living on the outskirts of the city, How safe is your home? How fast will the fire service respond? Confusion powder. And so we want to walk you through the timeline of events as we know them at this hour. Walk you through them as you share the live stream, folks. So we know that around 11 a.m. today, there was black smoke seen coming from a section of the Brickdam police station. Around 11 a.m., thick black smoke. And reports we are receiving, folks, as you guys share the live stream, as you guys show us those emojis that describes your feelings this afternoon, we want to let you know that around 11:25, this is why we got to keep fighting, folks. It is why we got to keep fighting. Around 11:25, we're made to understand that the installed Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, arrived on the scene there. That is what we are hearing. But by then, fire was spreading to lots of places. Lots and lots of places. Fire was engulfing there in Brickdam. Lots and lots of places. So 11 o'clock, black smoke is seen coming from a section of the Brickdam police station. They said a building at the back. By 11:25, they say the Minister of Home Affairs installed Robeson Ben, who has a no confidence motion already pending against him in the National Assembly, arrives on the scene. And he's a firefighter, so he is giving orders. Sometime later, we understand that Anil Nandalal showed up too. He's a firefighter. Right? So he has showed up on the scene as well. By 11:30, ladies and gentlemen, by 11:30, according to the timeline of events, information suggests that there was more thick black smoke bellowing from a section at the back of the compound, of the complex. And the Guyana Fire Service was summoned around 11:30. By 12 o'clock, around 12 o'clock, we're being made to understand that fire tenders would have arrived on the scene. Around 12 o'clock. And we have corroborated this report with several reports that have been published by media houses. That again, around 12 o'clock, fire tenders from the Guyana Fire Service came on the scene and attempted to put out the Inferno, that raging Inferno that engulfed the Brickdam police station. We were made to understand that the fire was quickly spreading to other buildings. As you heard, the leader of the opposition said lots of those buildings in the Brickdam police station compound are wooden buildings and house several sections of his operations. News source, Gordon Mosley's news source, corroborated this information that the fire quickly spread to several buildings, wooden buildings in the Brickdam police station, which houses again several critical important sections of the Guyana Police Force's operation. Ammunitions are stored in some areas, records are stored in some areas, evidence are stored in some areas, vehicles, and so forth. And so by 12:30, police, or rather firemen, could be seen. And kudos to all of those firemen who stepped up there in that heroic effort to try to save what could be salvaged from that compound. And I was there on the ground, folks. It was helter-skelter. Windows being broken, records being thrown through windows, the fence being broken as the fire encompassed that area there, as the fire beset and besieged officers who were in the compound still. The fence towards King Street End had to be broken as both firemen and policemen tried to evade the fire. And this is just some of the images of that area there. This is an image from the Hatfield Street area. Compliments of iNews. And we saw, again, between 12 and 12:30, firemen battling this huge blaze. According to news source, there was thick smoke billowing from the complex. And as we said early on in the program, there were fire tenders parked as far as Scroll Street. As far as Scroll Street to get water, which brings into question the fire hydrants in the immediate vicinity of Brickdam Police Station and other important buildings like the Ministry of Home Affairs. If you got to go to Scroll Street for water, it tells us something about your capacity. It tells us something about your capacity. And News Source, or rather Newsroom, in one of their reports, have stated that all prisoners, thanks be to God, and police officers have been evacuated from the Brickdam Police Station. Again, this is coming out of Newsroom, and their report is suggesting that all prisoners and police officers have been evacuated from the Brickdam Police Station. Again, some of the charring imagery coming out from what remains of the Brickdam Police Station. We hope you guys are sharing the live stream. And we want to see those emojis. How do you guys feel about this? At home in Guyana and around the world. Some of the jarring, charring images of what has transpired there in Brickdam. And as we have said, this news entity Newsroom has suggested in its reporting that all prisoners and police officers have been evacuated. Right? And according to this report, Assistant Police Commissioner Clifton Hickins said that some records were retrieved. As we have stated, some records have been retrieved. And it remains for them to tell us what the some records mean. According to this Newsroom report, passers-by at the scene, as we said earlier on, reported thick black smoke was first seen in the upper level of the building as fire rapidly spread throughout the building. Again, some very charring images from the Brickdam Police Station as we continue with our timeline of events. One report we're picking up out of Demerara Waves suggests again, corroborating what we know, what we saw on the ground, and what other news entities have reported, that all detainees at the Brickdam Police Station lockups, firearms and ammunition were accounted for. But several vehicles and vital records were destroyed. Again, several vehicles and vital records were destroyed. Several vehicles and vital records. According to this reporting, the installed Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, said evidence, I hope you are listening. According to Robeson Ben, evidence including vehicles and other exhibits were destroyed. Y'all hear story. Evidence including vehicles and other exhibits were destroyed, but efforts would be made to reconstruct important records. Attempts will be made to construct important records. We hope you all understand what that means. Folks, you all sharing the live stream. Again, for those folks who are now joining us, we are covering the Brickdam police station, Inferno. The entire building has been gutted, the entire compound by fire. And the Robeson Band, the installed minister of Home Affairs, is reporting that evidence, including vehicle and other exhibits, were destroyed, but efforts will be made to reconstruct. This is what remains of the Brickdam police station compound. This is what remains of the Brickdam police station compound, ladies and gentlemen. Another report that we've picked up on, indicates, ladies and gentlemen, that there were 16 detainees. Arms and ammunition, as we said early on, were secured. There were 16 detainees at the Brickdam police station at the time. Right? And quite interestingly, listen to this part of this report. The derelict western building that houses the barracks was saved by firefighters. The derelict building, nothing else. According to this report, as well, the main structure had crumbled, but the flames and heat could not easily stretch across to apparently this derelict building. And what is noteworthy here, the report says that while firefighters battled the blaze, policemen and women, including Police Commissioner Acting Nigel Hoppy and several senior officers, were busy assisting in the movement of numerous records from offices before fire eventually caught them. Also removed from the stores were several items including vehicle tires, riot shields, holsters, magazines, a generator, document cabinets, bicycles, and other valuables. And that is some of the information we have been able to curate so that you guys have a sense of what is happening on the ground. It's confusion. It is confusion. And as we said, what is very, very interesting, and it has to be explained to this country, it's how close the Brickdam police station is to the Ghana Fire Service. How close it's a less than a 2-minute drive. And if you have sirens on, it's even less time than that. Across the road or oblique to the Brickdam police station is the Ministry of Home Affairs, former Public Security. And the fire service, the Guyana Fire Service, is less than a 2-minute drive away. And that whole compound that constitute the Brickdam police station was ravaged by that inferno today. That entire compound was ravaged by fire. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what we have for you at this hour. Again, we want to say kudos to our firemen who made a heroic effort. But it was a little too late. We wait to see the official response out of this installed administration. Folks, you know, if you've been following us, you know, every day is purgatory. Every day is more confusion powder. That is the information we have for you. And if we have sufficient information that requires and dictates another installment of this program before the weekend is up and we see you guys on Monday night, we are definitely going to be back. But thank you for joining us for the last hour. It's been our pleasure and privilege being here with you. Sad circumstances, nonetheless, it is what it is. with the PPP. It is what it is. We hope that you can salvage what remains of the weekend. And stay safe. Stay safe, folks. Thanks for joining us in the ring. And ensure, as you go, folks, share the live stream. And we want to see those emojis. We want to know what are the emotions out there on this issue this afternoon. We want to see those emojis, folks. Share the live stream. Thanks for joining us, folks. That's our program for this afternoon. That constitutes our installment of this special program looking at the Brickdam Police Station Inferno. Thanks for joining us and have a safe rest of the weekend.